So thank you again, everyone, for joining today. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering a number of topics related to your CCCFF awards, kind of how to get in and how to do some initial award management within Amplifund. So I'm going to go through an agenda of some of the topics that we'll be focusing on and discussing today. The first thing that we want to do is we want to present you with the resources that are available to you. Utilizing Amplifund and doing some of the reporting, there's going to be a lot of new things that we're going to be taking a look at. So there are a number of resources that are available to you on the DED website. I'm going to go over what those are specifically so that you can call upon those as you're completing the tasks for your award in Amplifund. Then I'm going to just kind of briefly go through a list of some of the actions that you'll be asked to complete for your award and how to complete those actions within Amplifund. For those of us that it's our first time utilizing Amplifund, we'll have a brief overview of navigation, and some of that navigation is going to cover kind of where you can find the different areas and the different sections of the system that you'll need to leverage to complete any of the required activities for your CCCFF award. And then we're going to dive into Amplifund and we're going to walk through all of it in the system. I encourage you to ask questions. Let us know if you have any questions. Jenny and Mackenzie are available to answer any program related questions. You can submit any Amplifund related questions or task related questions. You can either just ask and we'll have time at the end for questions, or you can also submit those via the chat function in Zoom. So a lot of different ways to interact with us and to ask us different questions. And if you need anything at any point throughout the presentation, don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. So as I mentioned, one of the first things that we're going to be doing today is just kind of reviewing some of the different resources and some of the different help documents that you'll have available to you. You will be provided, in addition to the recording that I already mentioned, you'll also be provided with a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. And this PowerPoint presentation contains a lot of those important links. And these are just some of the ones that we're going to be looking at today. So there is a general help page for Nebraska Department of Economic Development, as well as for Amplifund. So you'll be able to leverage the opportunity.nebraska.gov/Amplifund. And the links are embedded within this PowerPoint. So all you have to do is just click on one of the links here and you'll see, and it'll take you right to the page. And I'll do a little overview of the page here in a second. In addition, we also have the CCCFF specific Amplifund help page that contains a lot of good resources in addition to some FAQs about CCCFF award management in Amplifund. And then also DED came up with a companion guide that's going to be available to you as well, which is a really great resource that you can leverage. So all of these links here are active. All of the links you'll be able to click within the PowerPoint that we will be sending out to you as part of the follow-up materials along with the recording. And just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like when you click on any one of these links, just to go through it here, you'll be able to see this is the general Nebraska DED Amplifund support page, opportunity.nebraska.gov/Amplifund. So you'll be able to find a lot of resources here. If you click that second link, which was opportunity.nebraska.gov, the CCCFF specific section, then it'll take you right here where we have all of the support resources for CCCFF program, and you'll be able to leverage these videos and then some of the other things that we have direct links to, like the companion guide, which you'll be able to click on and you'll be able to find here. I have that tab open already. This is that companion guide that was created and that was provided to you. This is a really nice, it's kind of one page document reviewing all the different tasks that you'll be doing within Amplifund for CCCFF. And in addition to the companion guide, there's a lot of items that are going to be important to today's session, like downloading your contract, your completing your ACH forms, submitting your first advance if you have to submit your first advance. So a lot of good information here about how to do all of those functions. And then kind of later on, I'll also talk a little bit about Amplifund specific support that you can leverage through Amplifund and through the Amplifund support site. So again, these slides will be made available to you as part of the follow-up along with the recording. And these links are embedded in the slides. So you'll be able to easily access any of this support documentation and these resources that that DED has put together for you at any point. A couple of other things to mention now as we're kind of moving forward. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're accomplishing today and what we'll be looking at in Amplifund. So I will also mention that this is part one of a two-part training series. So today we're going to be going over these tasks. There's going to be a follow-up training scheduled, I believe, for May 19th at 9:30 a.m. Where we will pick up on some of the other reporting elements at that time. There's a lot to get through, so it's broken up into two sessions, which is going to allow us to take our time, walk through all the material that's required, at this point, and then we're going to have a subsequent session that helps us walk through some of the additional reporting requirements that are going to be that are going to be important to topic at that point of the process. So this is part one of a two-part session where a lot of the other reporting and those topics will be covered, I believe, May 19th at 9:30 a.m. So just wanted to point that out before we start kind of diving into what we're covering today. This is a list of what we're looking at for today. Some basics like logging in and some of the navigation in terms of where you can go to access these specific areas. I know a lot of us here on the training are familiar with Amplifund and utilizing Amplifund for DED programs, whether it's CCCFF or other ones. So we're going to cover some of the navigation for those, especially for those that are new to Amplifund. We'll talk a little about adding users and how you can add users into your organization. Importantly, how to access your award, where we can go in Amplifund to find your award record and kind of go through it. And most importantly, designating who the grant manager is from your organization. A couple of the immediate tasks that you'll also be required to complete. If you have not in a previous CCCFF award year accessed and completed the ACH and W-9 form, then you'll be asked to do that. So we're going to go over how you can access that in Amplifund and how you can complete it. We'll go over where, and then for 2021 CCCFF recipients, we'll cover towards the end how to locate, download, sign, and upload your contract in Amplifund, as well as how to submit your first advance request. So kind of a little bit of a two parts today where we'll cover the adding users, the navigation, viewing and editing your award, completing your ACH and W-9 if you haven't already done so. And then we'll take a break. And if you are a new 2021 recipient, then we'll cover how to find and upload your contract and submit your first advance. So that is the agenda of what we're going to be covering today. And again, there will be a subsequent session scheduled for May where we'll cover a lot of the other reporting requirements and reporting elements in detail at that time. So this is the last slide that I have before we jump in and start actually getting into Amplifund and kind of moving through the system. And really what I wanted to do here, and it's mostly to kind of go over a lot of the basics of navigation in the system. So especially if this is your first time within Amplifund, you're going to log in, and what you're going to do is you're going to see a number of, you're going to log in, and if it's your first time, then you're going to see these distinct navigational elements on your screen. So the primary and the main piece of navigation that you'll have is where you'll see your left navigation menu. This stays with you on every page. You'll be able to access different areas of your Amplifund account through here. And kind of when we get into Amplifund, I'll highlight the specific areas we're working within today. You'll also have your user drop-down menu, which is going to have, which is going to allow you to access like user-specific options, changing your password, a message center, and then you'll have an icon toolbar. And the icon toolbar is going to allow you to take different actions depending on the actual page that you're on. So we'll go over these navigational elements and much more when we dive into the system. And at this point, I'd like to start that transition, and we will dive into Amplifund itself right now. And as I'm switching my screen over and getting into Amplifund, I do want to draw your attention to the URL at the bottom of your screen. Amplifund, your Amplifund account can be accessed via ne.amplifund.com. And one thing that I would recommend doing, if you haven't already done so, is I would definitely bookmark that link so that it's a lot easier to find it as a bookmark than to have to remember to type it in every time you need to go to it. So just remember, your Amplifund account will be accessible via ne.amplifund.com. So with that being said, let's jump in. And today we're going to be looking at an example of how to go through and look at your award and do the specific actions detailed in the agenda. We're going to be doing that in a demo account that I have created. So just to let you know, none of the users, none of the information that we're looking at here is going to be anyone's actual real data. One thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking into just kind of using some sample data to walk through all the different pieces of functionality here. So the first thing that I want to do is, I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the navigation. So when I get into Amplifund, again, I mentioned we're going to have the three main pieces of navigation here. We have our left navigation menu. We have, which is going to be our access portal to all of our different areas. So we'll be leveraging this section to get into our grant and actually look at our award. We'll also be using the administration section here in order to get in and to look at different users and to maybe set up and add new users as well. In addition to that, we have our user drop-down menu here. So when you log in, you'll see your name at the top right-hand corner of the screen. You'll be able to click on the downward facing arrow, and you'll be able to see a number of options here. So I mentioned you'll be able to see some of your basic account information. You'll be able to change your password. You'll be able to access our message center, which will just continue a list of all messages and correspondence that have been received through Amplifund. You'll be able to access Amplifund specific help and support, which I'll get into a little bit later. Whenever you're logging in for the first time, you're prompted to complete terms and conditions. So you can always review those here. One thing that you also may have, and you also may want to take advantage of here, is the ability to toggle into your applicant portal. So for a lot of us that have applied and that have been part of the application process, you'll be able to access your applicant portal and view your applications that are tied to you and your organization via visiting the applicant portal here in the user drop-down menu. So for example, when you're clicking in, you can click here and it'll take you to your applicant portal. If you had any specific applications that you already had fill out, that you already had started, you'd be able to see them here. If you if you just wanted to revisit any previous applications and view your applicant portal, then you'd be able to do that at that point. So toggling into your applicant portal and viewing your any applications would be available through that applicant portal. Additional navigation that I just kind of wanted to focus on too as we're moving through. And these are all things that we're going to look at in depth today. I just kind of wanted to show generally first kind of how to get to all these different areas, and then we can actually dive into how to complete and accomplish the different tasks. So here under the grant management section, you'll be able to click and you'll be able to view a list of your grants. When you're first getting in here, again, your organization may have additional awards from Nebraska Department of Economic Development. If you do, then you'll be able to see all of the awards that you have if you have that level of access. And you'll also be able to go ahead and you will be able to find your current award, and you'll be able to access the details of your current of your CCCFF award here. So in order to actually look at your award and see all the details and everything like the contract number, the award amounts, the dates, the grant manager, all of that, you'll be able to go again to grant management, grants, and then click on the name of the grant, and then you'll be able to access that. A couple of the other things that we're going to be looking at today, I mentioned that there are a couple of specific items, especially that 2021 recipients are going to have to complete, like submitting their advanced request and downloading the contract. And there are specific tasks that will be assigned to you to complete those items. And those tasks will be assigned in Amplifund. In order to view those tasks, then you'll be able to access those here in this tools drop-down menu and tasks. So you'll notice that this is going to have every award is going to have this tools drop-down menu. The task section is where you'll be able to see any tasks that are assigned to you. So you'll be able to see them from in here via that tools drop-down menu. Another area of focus that we're going to be looking at today, and it's going to be important, is going to be where you have a documents folder that allows you to view your contract, view any documents that have been uploaded to you from DED, and also it's a documents folder that allows you to share documents with DED. So just like tasks, you'll be able to access your documents folder from this tools drop-down menu and by going to documents. So if I go ahead and if I click on documents here, it's going to take me to a documents folder where I also have access to an additional folder called public. The public folder is where you'll be able to share information and share uploads with DED. It's also the folder where you'll see any uploads or documents that DED has shared with you. So when you click into the public folder, you'll be able to see here specific items like your contract, for example. These are things that they have provided and are in your shared public folder. When you're in here, you'll be able to click on it to just open it. You'll also be able to download it and leverage whatever downloading and saving options there are there. So again, going into, you can always follow this path back as well. Anything, and we're gonna show you how to upload documents in here. Just wanted to show you first where this is accessible. Anything that you do upload it here is going to be viewable and visible to DED because it's in this public folder. If you wanted to, you could also upload folders just for your own benefit. If you wanted to use this as kind of a document storage, anything that you upload in the general documents folder outside of the public folder will be visible only to your organization. So just something to keep in mind there, that you'll also be able to, to kind of leverage this for your own purposes relative to, storing documents for your grant awards. So in addition to that documents folder and the tasks, you'll be able to access your ACH and W-9 form by going to the custom tab here, clicking on the drop down, and you see you have a couple couple of custom docs. If you need to complete a new W-9 and ACH enrollment form, then you'll be able to access it through the custom tab by clicking here on the W-9 and ACH enrollment form. So this is just kind of a little general overview of all the different areas that we're going to be looking at today and kind of how to navigate through. So just to provide a little bit of a review on that, and we're going to actually dive into and get into detail about how to complete these actions. Just to provide a little bit of an overview, you access your award by going to the grant management section, going to grants. Once you're here, you'll see a list of any active grants that you currently have, and you'll click on the name of the grant that you want to leverage for today, or specifically for CCCFF. So you'll be able to click on the specific award that you want to access. Here, you'll be able to see a lot of the award details, a lot of the basics of the award here. There are tasks that are going to be assigned to you eventually, and you'll be able to find those tasks within the Tools drop-down menu by going to Tools and then Tasks. You'll be able to see those here. You'll also be able to leverage this Tools drop-down menu to access your Documents folder, where you'll be able to leverage the public folder and view any documents that DED is sharing with you, or upload any additional documents that you want to share with your with DED. And then also there's the ACH and W-9 form that will be accessible via the custom tab here by going to custom and then accessing the state of Nebraska W-9 and ACH enrollment form. So those are all of the distinct steps and some of the navigation that we're going to be going through today. What we're going to start to do at this point is just kind of jump in and start going through how to actually complete all the actions. Now that we kind of know where everything lives, we're going to get in and we're going to look at actually performing the different tasks in Amplify. I'm going to go back to our calendar page here, because again, this is the page that we're going to see when we first log in. And I do also want to make an additional note here about this calendar. Any tasks that are assigned to you are going to show up on your calendar. So right now you can see here on April 30th, I have 2 tasks that are assigned to me. That's why I'm seeing them here in this calendar's month. So you can navigate the calendar to move kind of back and forth to see these tasks. You can click on a task and you can see what the important information is here. From the task, you'll be able to go to the grant in question. So you'll also be able to leverage this calendar here to get a nice view of any tasks that you have and that you need to complete. One other thing that I'll mention about the calendar before I move off of it and go to our next topic is that if you look in the icon toolbar over here in your top right-hand corner, you can also subscribe your Amplify calendar to whatever calendar platform you use. So by clicking the subscribe button, you basically have the ability to sync your Amplify calendar to your Outlook, your Google Calendar, whatever it may be. So if you wanted your tasks and these notifications to show up in your Outlook, or the email that you use for work, or the calendar that you use on a more regular basis, you can sync your calendar and your Amplify tasks will show up in your calendar over there. So a couple of nice features that you'll be able to utilize to leverage the task feature.
Hey, Evan.
So before we jump into the next session,
okay.
Are there any questions that we want to go?
So we can't meet the 26th.
Okay, if you do have questions, feel free to jump in or submit them via the chat feature as well. All right, so let's get started. And the first thing that I want to cover today, and that was listed on our agenda within the slides, is talking about adding additional users. So you're able to access your Amplifund account. You may want to invite others within your organization into Amplifund. And in order to do that, you'll go to Administration, System Security, and Users. This is going to take you to a page of all existing users that are already in your account. If you know that there's somebody else on your team or within your organization that you want to be able to view the grant and provide access to, then you will be able to add an additional user by going ahead and in the top right-hand corner, clicking on the plus sign in order to create a user. And you'll be able to scroll down and you'll be able to add that user's first name, last name, and email address. Now you see there's a lot of other additional information here that you can put in, but in order to create a user, we have our basic first name, last name, and email address here. These are the required fields that we need to fill out in order to be able to add users. You may want to also add an external user. In order to add an external user, then contact Jenny and Mackenzie first, and they will walk you through the process of how to add a user that is external to your organization that may be managing the grant. So when you're adding in your user and you have your first name, last name, and email typed up, go ahead and click on Create. You'll get that success message here. And so now we have our user created. Just because a user is created, it doesn't mean that just because a user is created, it does not mean that the user can automatically get in. There's a second step in the process that's going to be required in order to add that user, which is going to be to invite them into the system. So once a user is created, you'll be able to go into your top right-hand corner here of the icon toolbar, access the envelope icon, and send this user an invitation. You'll get this message here. Are you sure you want to send an invitation to the user? If you're sure, then go ahead and click on the send invitation button. And now this user has received an email at whatever email address you established here, prompting them to create their own unique password so that they can log in and access your Amplifund account. If you, again, you wanted to see a list of your users, then you go to Administration, System Security, and Users. And now here I can see my new user. And this also tells me here, has an invitation been sent and has the user logged in? So if you're creating a bunch of users, you're not sure if the invitation has been sent or not, then you'll be able to leverage this page, which is again, Administration, System Security, and Users to see a list of existing users here. If you wanted to add an additional user, you'll be able to go back here and click on the plus sign to create. And again, if you're adding an external user that's going to be managing your grant, please contact Jenny and Mackenzie first, and they will walk you through the process and make sure that user gets set up properly. One other thing that I'll add here about the users, but also just kind of in general, those resources and those links that we went through and we looked at in the beginning also provide step-by-step instructions with screenshots on how to perform these actions. So you'll be able to always leverage this recording. You'll be able to leverage the Amplifund support options, and you'll also be able to leverage the CCCFF specific instructions on the opportunity.nebraska.gov website. So just keep in mind, everything that we're doing here has a supporting document, a resource, a guide to help us, walk through that when we're on our own completing these actions. So now that we've added a user, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the next step that we want to talk about today, which is adding our grant manager to the recipient grant manager field. So one thing that we definitely want to do is on our grant, we want to make sure that we have indicated the user that is the recipient grant manager for your organization. So I'm going to go into the grant management section. And remember, this is how we get to our grant. We go to grant management, grants. This is going to show us, again, that list of any grants our organization already has. We're going to click into it here. Click into the grant that we want. And when we click into the grant, you're going to notice, again, the same details that we just looked at previously. I want to draw specific attention to this recipient grant manager field. This recipient grant manager field is a field that's going to allow us to designate who the grant manager is for this program so that Jenny and Mackenzie know who the responsible party is, who is the one that's receiving any system generated notifications. So I will mention that this designation of recipient grant manager does come with a level of responsibility. Amplifund contains a number of system generated or automatic notifications that are received back and forth between you and DED when payment requests are submitted, when specific reports are submitted. When things are submitted, DED gets a notification. When they approve or reject your submission, then the recipient grant manager will get a notification that an action has been taken on anything that you've submitted. So whoever you want to be the person at your organization that's designated to receive those notifications should be the recipient grant manager. And in order to add the recipient grant manager, we're going to go into the top right-hand corner and click on the pencil icon, which is going to allow us to edit this page. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on edit, and that's going to open up this field for me, which is going to allow me to edit and indicate who the recipient grant manager is. And again, one thing that I want to point out here, when I click edit, there's not really a whole lot that I can edit here. It's mostly the award name, which will just dictate how I view the award in my list. And then here, indicating who the recipient grant manager is. Now, one thing you'll see when I click on into this box here, that it generates a drop down for me. This drop down contains a list of all existing users that I'll be able to assign. So if I want to indicate a recipient grant manager, and that recipient grant manager is not on this list that generates, it means that the grant manager, or it means that that person has not been created as a user. In order to go ahead and add them, remember, we go to administration, system security, users, we add them, then we'll be able to come in here and we'll be able to choose them as a user. So for example, we just added Jane Doe here. So now I can add Jane Doe as my recipient grant manager. You'll notice I can't just type in somebody's name because it'll show no results found. The person that we choose has to come from our users list. So making sure that your recipient grant manager is added in the users list will allow you to successfully add your recipient grant manager here on this field. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll add in Jane as my recipient grant manager because I just created her and I want her to be my recipient grant manager. Again, if you need to add in a external user that's going to be, that you want to be receiving these notifications and managing your grant, contact Jenny and Mackenzie and they will walk you through the process of getting that user set up. When you have the recipient grant manager added, then go ahead and click on the save button here. And your page will update and you'll be able to see once it updates that you have successfully added the recipient grant manager. So Once we're here on this page and we're looking at the award details, I mentioned before, you'll be able to add in, that recipient grant manager. Here, you'll be able to change the award name if necessary. And then you'll also be able to go in and you'll also be able to see some other details of the award, like what we're looking at here. So on this award details page, this is going to be a great reference for us to go through and to look at some key details in terms of, how much we're awarded, what our contract number is, what our specific award dates are, and then, some really specific information about our awarded amount and our cash match amount. So we talked about how to add in users. We've talked about how to make those users recipient grant managers. Let's talk a little bit about our ACH and W-9 form here. So one thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and in order to access that ACH and W-9 form, we go to the custom tab here at the top, and I'm going to go and click on where it says State of Nebraska W-9 and ACH enrollment form. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the name of the form here, and it's going to take me to a page that's going to allow me to generate the form, basically. One thing that I will note here for any existing recipients, or if you've done this before, if you've done this before and you've already filled one of these out, you do not have to fill a new one out. However, if any of the information on here has changed since the last time you filled it out, then a new one will have to be completed. So whether you're completing a new one, like a second instance of the form, or whether you've never done this before and you need to do this for the first time, you're going to go in your icon toolbar here in the top right-hand corner, and you're going to click on the plus sign, which is going to allow you to access this form in an editable state. So here, one thing that you're going to look at is you're going to be able to see some instructions here on how to access the form. You'll be able to see the link to the actual PDF form that needs to be completed. So one thing that you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to click on this link, and it's going to take you to the Nebraska W-9 and ACH enrollment form that you'll be able to complete and you'll be able to fill out. So one thing that you'll have to do is you'll want to download this form. You'll want to fill this out. You'll want to save the form, and then you upload it into this section right here. So a couple of the things that you're going to have to fill out when we're getting in here and when we're looking at this form is you're going to have to fill out your contract number, which you'll be able to access on the award details page. You'll be putting in your recipient name here. I was putting in my generic recipient name, but you'll be putting in the name of your organization here. And one thing you'll note here is that if you have any questions, if you forget, like, oh, does recipient name mean I put in my actual name, or do I put in like the county's name or whatever it is? It is the organization, and you'll be able to leverage these little tool tips that allow you that provide you with some additional guidance on where you can find information. Once you've done this, you've added this, here is where you actually upload the completed version of this W-9 and ACH enrollment form. So again, you access the form here, you fill it out, and then you upload it into this section here by clicking on the Choose File button and then uploading it into the form. So I'll go ahead and I'll do that, and I'll just double click and upload my document there from my computer. And then you have to indicate the date that the document was uploaded. Let's go with today because that's when I uploaded this. And then we're going to go ahead and click on create. Notice that these are all required fields. So you won't be able to just kind of start this and then not upload it and come back to it later. You'll have to enter in all this information. You'll only be able to complete this form once all the information is added in here. Once you do have all the information added, go ahead and click on create, and you'll be able to see the instance of your W-9 that you've uploaded. So again, just making sure that when you're getting in here, and if you've already filled out a W-9 or ACH form, you're only going to have to do this if the information has changed since the last time you went through and since the last time you did it. So just, making sure that we're going in and only updating this or adding a new one if we haven't done it already. All right, so a couple of things that I just wanted to review here. And Shelly, the comment is noted. Thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate that. Couple of things that we just kind of want to review before we open it up to questions and I go over some of the Amplifund support options here. Are the just some of the actions that we've looked at today already. So one thing that we did when we first got in and when we first started was we went in and we talked about navigation, but remember we went in and we added users by going to the administration, system security, and users section. And just a reminder that if you want to add in any external users, that you'll be doing that by reaching out to Jenny and Mackenzie, who will walk you through the process. Once we looked at our users, we went to our grant management section, clicked on grants, accessed our grant from here, from this list by clicking on the name of the grant that we're looking at. We clicked on the pencil icon in order to edit this page and add in our grant manager, and keeping in mind that this recipient grant manager field is designating who the person is that's going to be receiving the automatic notifications that accompany this award. In addition to filling out that recipient grant manager field, we talked about how to access and fill out the state of Nebraska W-9 and ACH enrollment form. You click on the form here. If you're updating the form or if you've never completed this form before, then you're going in, you're creating a new form and you're uploading it into that section that we just looked at. One thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up for for right now and open it up to questions is Jenny and Mackenzie are available for program specific questions. Also, we went over some of the DED resources that are available. You may have some Amplifund specific questions as you're navigating around here. You'll always have DED as a resource, but now that you are a user in Amplifund, you also have access to Amplifund's customer support. And you'll be able to access that through the user drop-down menu under help and support, or on any page, the icon toolbar will always feature this icon, which is a help and support icon here. So the help and support icon, when you click on it, it'll provide you with two support options. One is the Amplifund support site, which has, again, general user guides, and general information, not specific to CCCFF recipients, just kind of general Amplifund tutorials and videos. If you have a specific question and you want one of Amplifund's customer support personnel to look at it and review the question, you can submit a support ticket. And you'll notice here that what this part of the form is an already almost completed form to submit a question. It's going to auto-populate your name and your email address. All you have to do is type in a subject. So let's say, you can't find your tasks, or you don't remember where that custom form upload is. Just, type in, the question here. If you're getting some kind of like warning message or an error message, you can ask about that. You can always attach a file in here as well. So if you have a screenshot, you'll be able to attach that. You can submit this to our customer success team, who is going to be available to answer any of your questions. Our customer support team, the hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. And if we don't get to something, if something's submitted after hours on any of those days, it gets picked up and answered, the very first thing of the next day. So here are some of the Amplifund support options and how you can submit a support ticket. So this was everything that we wanted to go through for everybody, regardless of if you are an existing recipient or a 2021 recipient. We're going to break here in a little bit, and we're going to ask the 2021 recipients to stay on because there's a couple of extra steps that they need to accomplish. Before we do that, before we break, are there any questions? You can go ahead and you can submit questions via chat, or you can just ask your question. So we'll just kind of open it up here for questions now, and then we'll break. We'll let the 2021 recipients stay on, and then we'll wrap up. So if anyone has any questions, feel free. Here we go. After the break, only 2021 recipients need to stay on. The actions that we're going to be covering are going to be specific to them. Just a couple of reminders to everyone as you're thinking of those questions, or as questions are being submitted. You'll be able to leverage this recording as well as the PowerPoint that has the links to all of the documentation that we put together for you as well. So that'll all be provided to you as part of the follow-up. And there will be a second session in May, May 19th at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, where we'll go over reporting and some of the other concepts that we need to look at. So and yes, good question about that session on May 19th. Definitely register for it, reach out, let them know that you're interested. We'll do the same thing where we record it and provide the documentation as follow-up. So even if you're not on the webinar live, you will be able to view the webinar, its contents, and the support documentation. All right, so if there are no other questions, I mean, as I'm talking and you have questions, feel free to continue to submit those questions. But if there are no other questions, then again, you'll receive everything as part of the follow-up, the recording, the support documentation. Remember accessing Amplifund support within Amplifund by utilizing your user drop-down menu and clicking on help and support, or going to your icon toolbar and clicking on the help and support icon there, as well as the CCCFF specific support documents and support guides on opportunity.nebraska.gov/Amplifund. All right, so I appreciate everyone's time today. Thanks for making the time this morning and for participating in the session. So at this point, we'll break. And if you're not a 2021 recipient, feel free to jump off at this point. And we'll wrap up today by covering a couple of additional actions that 2021 recipients need to complete for their award. So we'll just take a quick break, let people jump off, and we'll resume here in a second. So thanks, as you're jumping off, just thanks everybody. Appreciate your time today. All right, we are going to resume here, and thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being a part of this. I really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and talk about a couple additional steps that we're going to be completing as 2021 recipients. So again, we went over how to get in, go into the administration section, how to add in an additional user. We talked about how to actually view the grant itself. And how to upload the ACH and W-9 form. When we talked about navigation, we talked a little bit about tasks, and the next two things that we're going to be completing also have tasks associated with them, as you can clearly see here in my calendar. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about how to access the contract download it, sign it, and then re-upload it, and then how to go in and complete the task to indicate to DED that that's been completed. And then we're going to talk about how to submit your first advanced payment request, where there's also a task associated with that as well. So let's start by talking about the contract. And your contract is going to be located in that public documents folder. The public documents folder, again, can be accessed in this grant management and grants section in the grant itself. So let's go to grant management grants, and I'm going to click on the grant. And as I'm here in the grant, this is where I want to see where my contract is. So as I mentioned before, DED is going to upload your contract here in your documents folder. So in order to access it, you're going to go to your tools drop-down menu. You're going to go to documents. And you're going to click into the public folder. Remember, this public folder is where you'll be able to see any documents that DED has uploaded for you, and then also upload documents back to them. So here, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to click on it, and depending on what browser you're using, I don't know if it may just pop up for you. You can also download it, which again, depending on what browser you use, when I download it, here it generates at the bottom of the screen. And there may be a window that pops up that asks you if you want to download it or view it. So, clicking here and then accessing your contract, you'll have to, go through the contract itself, fill it out, sign it, and then you'll have to re-upload it. So, upload it, save it somewhere on your computer so that you can upload it into this documents folder. And you'll see here, when I go into upload documents, I go to my icon toolbar. I have this upload documents section where I can choose a file from my computer, my desktop, wherever it may be. And I double click on the document, click on upload. And now I can see that my document, my contract, which has been signed, is available here in the shared folder. Now, in addition to going in and uploading the folder or uploading the contract into the documents folder, one thing that you'll want to do is remember you have a task that's associated with this. So a couple of different ways that you'll be able to go in and view that task and then also mark that task as complete. So in the tools drop-down menu, you have this tasks section, and you'll be able to very clearly see here that in this tasks section, we have a task that's called download contract, sign, and re-upload. So you're going to be able to look at the task here. Once it's been completed, you'll be able to just kind of click on this little check mark and mark it as completed. When the document, when the task is completed, and when you mark it as complete, then DED will be able to view and they will be able to see that you've done this already. And it'll be a good prompt for them to get in and to access and find your signed contract. I will also mention that the signed contract is a prerequisite to requesting your first advance. So, we're talking about this as the first step in the process, and it's also because we need this to go and we need this to be part of that first step. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. I'll mark this as complete, and now I can see that my task status has updated to completed. So again, just to provide a brief review here, we go to find our contract, we go to tools, documents, access the contract in that shared folder. We upload the document back into the shared folder, go to our task section and mark the task as completed. And again, just as I mentioned, with everything else that we've already gone over, DED has done a really good job of putting together support documentation that's specific to accomplishing these different tasks here. So once you have your contract signed, you're going to want to request that first advance. So let's talk a little bit about how you can do that. So if you're going in to request your first advance, again, I'm already in the grant here, so I can access the payment request section through post-award cash flow. If you're just logging in and you're logging in specifically to do this, then you'll be able to go to grant management, grants, find your grant. And then, you'll be able to see their grant here, and then you'll be able to go and access the payment request section, which is in the post-award drop-down menu, cash flow, and payment requests. Again, make sure you click on it. So click on payment request there. So this will take you to a page where you can generate your payment request. Since this is our first advance, that we have to submit once the contract has been signed, then you'll be able to go ahead and you'll be able to click on the plus sign to generate your advanced payment request. So as you're going in here and as you're looking to fill out your requesting your first advance, again, feel free to access this video for help, but also to access the supporting documentation for help as well. Here you'll have to fill out some required fields where we have our payment request name. Your payment request name should be payment request number 1, initial advance. Because of the program where there's 2 payments made, there's the advance payment for half of the grant funds up front, which is what we're requesting here. And then there's a final payment at the conclusion of the award at the end. So here you'll indicate that this is their first request and it's the initial advance. In the date created, you'll put today's date. And then you're going to leave this section blank. Under payment type, you're going to choose advance because again, this is our advance payment here. So what's important to note is that what we're going to be requesting is half of the grant funded amount. So right here, what my remaining balance is showing is it's showing the combination of my grant funds plus match. I have $500,000 that I've been awarded in grant funds, and there's going to be $500,000 in match. Since my grant funds are $500,000, I can only request half of that up front. So my initial request here, where it says projected expenses, is going to be for $250,000 because that is half of the grant funds that I've been awarded. Again, in match contribution, there's going to be 0 here, and requested amount, you're going to have to type in one more time. So go ahead and again, just type in that $250,000 right here. You will be able to add in any comments or upload any documentation. It's not required, but it's optional if you want to. And that is everything that you have to fill out here on your payment request. So again, at the top, filling out the name and sticking with the naming convention. Payment request 1, initial advance. Date created should be today's date. Payment type has to be advanced. And then the projected expenses and the requested amount are both going to be 50% of the grant funded amount. So in my case here, I was funded $500,000. So I am requesting $250,000. You can add in comments if you want. You can upload a document if you want. And when you're ready to submit this to DED, go ahead and click on submit. You'll get this notification here affirming that you want to do this, and you'll click on submit. One thing that I'll mention here is that as soon as you submit this, DED will get a notification that you've submitted your payment request. Once they get this notification, they'll be able to go in, they'll be able to review it, make sure you already have your contract, because that's a prerequisite for this advance. They'll be able to make sure you have your contract, and then they'll be able to take a decision and approve or reject. Once it is either approved or rejected, whoever is designated as the recipient grant manager from your organization on the award will receive notification that a decision has been made. So that's a big part of the communication that I was talking about before, why it's important that we designate a recipient grant manager. So we go into payment requests, we fill out all of this information here. And again, the guide is really straightforward and kind of showing you exactly how you have to name things and what you need to put in here. And then you click on submit. And once a decision is made about it, then you'll receive a notification, or whoever the recipient grant manager is will receive a notification that it's been approved or not, with comments. Once you've submitted your request, again, remember that a task will be generated for you so that you can indicate when this has been completed. So you'll go into your tools and your tasks here. And you will want to indicate that you've completed this task. Same way we did it before, where you can either go into tools and tasks and complete it here by clicking on the check mark, or remember, these tasks show up on your calendar. So you'll also be able to see your task on your calendar. You'll be able to click on it, and you can mark it as completed right from your calendar. I will mention too, with the tasks, I keep making reference to them, the tasks have not been created yet. So, if you're looking in your account, you're saying, where's my task? The tasks will get created eventually. And then whoever's the responsible party on the task will get a notification when those are created. So if you're not seeing them, it's because they just haven't been created yet, but they will be, and they will be part of this process here where you'll be taking the action of downloading the contract, signing it, and then re-uploading it into that public documents folder, completing the task, and then submitting your advance request for 50% of the grant funds, and then completing the task there. Those are the two items that I wanted to make sure that we covered for 2021 recipients. But also one of the important things that we covered previously was that ACH and W-9 form. So remembering to also have that completed as well. If you already have it completed, if you're a current or an existing recipient in Amplifund and you've completed it, then that's fine. If you need to add a new one or make changes, make sure you're going into the award, accessing the form, and then completing the W-9 and ACH form and uploading it. So that's everything that we wanted to get through today, in terms of navigating the award, adding users, adding a recipient grant manager here, accessing that W-9 and ACH form and uploading it or completing it, going in and accessing your contract in the documents folder, signing, uploading the contract, accessing the task, completing the task, and then going into post-award, cash flow, payment requests to be able to get in and generate your first advanced request, which once you've done that, then you'll be able again to go into the task section and mark the task as complete, indicating that you've done this. So again, at this point, I'm going to stop here and we can open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions, now would be a great time to ask. You can also utilize the chat feature if you feel more comfortable asking questions via the chat feature. So I'll just take a quick pause as and allow everyone to start submitting questions. And as we're thinking of and typing up questions, just wanted to remind everyone, again, the follow-up will contain a recording and the PowerPoint presentation, the links to the support documentation. So you'll have plenty of resources at your disposal. And in addition to Amplifund specific questions, where you'll be able to leverage the Amplifund documentation that DED provided, access Amplifund help and support here by submitting a support ticket to our support team, whose hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. And also you can use this time right now to not only ask questions about anything that we've gone through, but Jenny and Mackenzie are on the line. So if you do have any program specific questions, feel free to ask those right now as well, as long as we're all together. So if you have any program specific questions, we have the program managers and the experts here to answer those. And also if you have any Amplifund questions, feel free to ask those now. So pretty much, ask away any question you may have about your CCCFF award. I appreciate the feedback. If anyone has any questions, we're still going to hang on the line here. So please feel free to, chat in any questions you have, whether they're Amplifund related or, program specific questions for Mackenzie and Jenny. And, we're still here on the line. Any questions that anyone has, we're more than happy to talk through. All right. So again, we really appreciate everyone's time today. If you have any questions, you know how to reach out to DED program for DED program help, and then also for Amplifund related help. Be on the lookout for the follow-up, which will contain the recording as well as the PowerPoint and links to all of the support material. If anyone has any questions at any time, feel free to reach out to us. And again, appreciate everyone's attendance this morning, and good luck managing your grants and Amplifund. Thank you so much, everybody, and look forward to speaking with you in the future.